Mystery of the senses. A Nova miniseries with Diane Ackerman. Tonight, The Sense of Touch.
The pungent waters that seep from hot springs near the little town of Calistoga in Northern California are thought to have special powers. Nance's Spa offers a mud bath made from volcanic ash mixed with naturally heated mineral waters.
Well, here we go. This thick mud feels wonderful between my toes. It's hot and squishy, and I feel like I'm paddling through cement. Of course, I feel it with my skin. Our skin stands between us and the world. No other part of us makes contact with something not us, but the skin. It imprisons us, but it also gives us our sense of individual shape. It's waterproof, washable, surprisingly elastic, and it can even mend itself when it breaks. Of course, it does tend to cascade and roam as we grow older, but it lasts remarkably well and accompanies us through all of the ages of human experience. But most of all, it harbors the sense of touch. And right now, nothing could be more delicious than that.
At Nance's Spa, the mud bath is followed by a wonderful Swedish massage. Because touch makes the world tantalizing and rich, it's marketed in malls and catalogs all across the nation.
Oh, you like that, huh? Okay. Ooh. Wait, let me, to very slow, all right?
Do it real fast.
Real fast?
Yeah.
Try it on your legs sometimes, like this. You can also utilize it yourself.
Oh my God.
Too fast?
No. Oh, no.
Not fast enough, huh? Okay. Turn around. I'm going to give you some shoulder massages first, okay? Is it too strong?
Oh, no.
Good here?
It's good.
Okay. One of the nice parts about this machine is it can be utilized over the entire body, arms, legs, shoulders. Feels good? Ooh. Okay.
Okay. That's what everyone's supposed to ask. Yeah.
Relax over there. Let her up.
Good when it take
Get
off
those
here.
muscles. The nice part about this is the hands or fingers rotate one direction, and then they rotate a second direction. You can also put vibration on. It's designed that you can lay it on a bed or on the floor or on a sofa, and you can lay back in it and put your head down to do that. Now watch your face to show you how intense it can get. See?
It was a hard day at the office. Is that a good or bad
I don't know. I think that it's doing neurological damage to me.
Without touch, we would live in a sensory desert. Touch is our most erotic sense and subject to many taboos. Touch allows us to express our most intimate feelings toward one another. But many of the loveliest touch sensations have absolutely nothing to do with sex. One of our first experiences in the world is our mother's caress. Babies are cradled, cuddled, and held close, and that can make all the difference.
Touch, we're finding, is a very important means of communication. It's important for relationships. It's important for growth and development. It's important for the development of the immune system, and so on and so on.
Who touches infants, how and for how long varies enormously among cultures and between generations. Parents and grandparents come to Tiffany Fields Touch Research Institute to learn the secrets of how to touch their young children. You'd think that would come naturally.
But what we're finding is that there's very little touch in this society. The teachers are being asked not to touch children. Parents are being warned about sexual abuse connotations of touch. And people are very reluctant to touch. Parents don't really know how to touch their children, when to touch their children, and how old is too old to touch children. So one of the things we're finding is if we teach them massage, it's a very concrete way to touch. It's very clear that it doesn't have sexual ramifications. And so they learn the massage and do it with their child. It helps the children sleep, it helps the children relax, and it helps the relationship between the parent and the child.
Register. And 2 for coming, but they are...
Some babies enter the world before their time. For them, the world can be a hostile place, a glass prison with no mother, no comfort, no touch.
Premature babies have a very, very difficult time. They're left in these little boxes called incubators, and they have no parents around to touch them, in addition to which they have bright lights and loud sounds, and they're pretty much left there with very little contact. We're finding that if we go in and massage these babies, they gain weight. They gain 47% more weight than if they're not massaged. They go home sooner to their parents, and they're just much better babies.
Why should massage be such a tonic? Research at Duke University reveals a fascinating clue to the role touch plays in maintaining the healthy development of newborns, and not just humans. When separated from their mother for short periods, these rat pups grow more slowly, even if they're warmed by an incubator. But if the pups are caressed, they think mother is at hand. No matter this is a brush, not her rough licking tongue.
Wake up, guys. Time to not feel good? Wake up. There you go.
It seems to them that
Not
all
good.
is safe and well. So back to the business of growing up. In fact, there's evidence that touch creates chemical changes in the brain that last a lifetime. But touch is not only vital for physical health, it is essential for a baby's psychological well-being. In the 1950s, Harry Harlow tested this theory. Newborn rhesus monkeys were separated from their mothers, then given 2 stand-ins. A wire mother they could only suckle, and a soft cloth mother they could also hug. The need for snuggling proved overwhelming. The cloth surrogate quickly became mother, a banquet of security and comfort. Indeed, the baby monkey's affection grew so strong, it often opened a mechanical window just to stare at her. But the power of touch becomes most poignant when it is missing. Touch-deprived monkeys become neurotic, asocial, depressed, and confused. But with even a surrogate to hold and touch, the baby can explore and play without fear.
Okay, go. Blow, blow, keep blowing, blow. Okay, thank you.
Good, Tanya. Now you want to sit down here, and Eli will come in and give you a massage. Hopefully that'll make you feel better.
Thank you.
Even after childhood, our health can benefit from just the right touch. A simple massage can calm the breathing. It helps a young patient find relief from an asthma attack. Touch is an ancient healer, linking body and mind. It can lower blood pressure, quiet the pulse, and help us deal with the stress that is so much a part of modern life.
So we have this terrible dilemma of knowing on the one hand that touch is very critical for our health and for our well-being. On the other hand, we have all these taboos that are continuing to develop against touching people.
This massage is provided by a professional toucher, an intimate stranger like our doctors or our hairdressers. And as I get my wonderful massage, I don't think of taboos or even of the stranger who caresses me. You can just imagine the variety of touch I'm enjoying. All the textures of rub and knead and stroke, all the tiny twinges and tingles. All of them are just small dabs of color on the huge palette of touch sensations. They're very subtle, but also more elaborate than pain and pleasure, hot and cold. And together they create a caravan of relaxations in this ocean of calm. Sensations flow both ways. The hands wield pleasure and also respond by feeling pleasure. Just how they do this is crucial to almost every aspect of our lives. Potter John Leach wedges clay. His experienced hands vent the air from the clay as he prepares to throw a new work. He lives and works close by the ruins of Mucholney Abbey on England's Somerset Marshes. With his hands, John imparts form to what was before a simple lump of clay.
For plasticity, texture, color, even tactile qualities when the pot is finished. I can feel some of those tactile qualities as the clay spins through my fingers, and as I draw it up in a slow, steady, rhythmic spiral movement. This is going to be a tall jug, I hope, a baluster type, so that is the basis for the cylinder, is the basis for hollowware. So invariably one makes the cylinder first. You extend the clay as far as it will and feels right.
What a marvel of design is the human hand. The fingers are especially sensitive. They can detect changes of less than 0.002 of a centimeter on the smoothest surfaces. Sensory nerves, or touch receptors in our hands, send messages about pressure, heat, cold, and pain up 17,000 fibers to our brain. Without that intricate feel for life, there would be no artists to make sensory and emotional maps of the world. Like John, we've become voluptuaries of touch.
It's wonderful to feel a shape, sometimes with your eyes shut, and suddenly the fingers become more sensitive. It's almost as though your eyes have travelled down to the ends of your digits. Well, the pot's finished now.
It's what is known as a sense of oneself. And we have it because receptors in our joints, muscles, and tendons tell us where our hands and feet are and help to make the world feel three-dimensional. John calls his kiln the Dragon. Its temperature soars to over 1,000 degrees. The blistering heat could easily scorch skin and clothing, but nerve endings sensitive to heat allow John's assistant, Nick Reese, to judge exactly how close he can dare the leaping flames. There are 200 times as many pain receptors as heat receptors, and if he steps too near, they'll fire off their alarms. The kiln is based on a traditional Japanese design, fueled by timber. Hot ash plays a critical role in coloring the pottery. Beauty depends on the perfect heat, the perfect moment. The glaze must reach the highest temperature at precisely the right time. A small ring of clay is used to test whether the fire has done its job and melted the glaze. Too hot to handle, it's quickly cooled because the final decision depends upon touch.
It's still a bit hot. Yeah. Careful.
Okay. Okay. Well, that feels pretty smooth to me. That's nice and mature. What do you think?
Yeah, that's perfect. No problem there. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Brilliant.
How do we make sense of the world? Certainly not with our touch receptors alone, for they just provide raw data. They sing with sensations. We interpret these sensations as the whisper of a breeze, the grittiness of sand, the warmth of sea or sun, the wriggling weight of a child. Our brain compares the messages it gets from these receptors to the whole directory of our experiences, and then sensation becomes perception.
We take touch for granted. It seems so effortless. I mean, I'm now holding a cup of coffee in my hand, and it has a certain weight, and it's warm. But think of what's going on inside my brain when I'm holding this cup. There are receptors in my fingers, receptors for warmth, receptors for touch, and the messages go through sensory nerves in my arm to the spinal cord, then through a relay station in my brain, and eventually to the final destination, which is the cerebral cortex. There's no literal image of the cup in my brain. What you have instead is a pattern of activity of nerve cells. And that pattern of activity is unique for this particular object, the cup of coffee that I'm holding. If I were holding a banana, it would be a different pattern of activity. If I were holding a pen, it would be yet another pattern of activity, each pattern being unique for that object. And that pattern of activity of nerve cells is more or less synonymous with my experience, perceptual experience, tactile experience of the cup or banana or pen.
The entire skin is covered with sensory nerves, so that every part of the body is linked to a location in the brain. Vertical strips of neural tissue, one on each side of the brain, receive sensory information from the opposite side of the body. This results in a kind of map, showing how the brain pictures each part of us, a very different image from the one we see in a mirror. To the brain, some parts of the body, like the legs, trunk, and arms, seem quite small. Others, like the hand, thumb, and face, loom large, because to the brain they are gigantically important. Of them all, the lips are the most sensitive to touch. The sensory map is present at birth, but its interconnections increase at an incredible rate, depending on each child's experience as it explores toys, people, and the objects of its environment. So, enriching a child's mind is not just a catchphrase. Stimulate a child's senses, and you enhance its world. People used to think that the brain was rigid. It's set in infancy and then didn't change for the rest of our adult lives.
Now, experiments we've been doing recently on human patients suggest that this dogma is wrong, that in fact, even the basic sensory maps in the brain can be modified. And these experiments are on patients who have either lost an arm, someone whose arm has been amputated, or the sensory nerves going from the arm to the spinal cord have been yanked off the spinal cord as a result of an accident.
I had both my legs amputated from below the knee, and I still get pains and like a tingling and pins and needles in my toes.
Sometimes my leg feels so real that I can almost touch it. I can actually go with my hand and feel that there is something there. And I can actually feel my ankle and my toes as if they were real. But of course, it's only a sensation.
I dream, and I'm walking in the sand, and I can feel the sand going through my toes, and I can feel the ocean water on my feet in the cold. Or I can feel myself running and having the muscles contracting all through my legs.
It's just in my toes. It feels like someone is really pinching them tightly and holding it, and the pain, and it's really real. It's a phantom.
It could happen at any time. Sometimes, I am in the bus and I feel that. I register that. I register that I have my knee, that I need space there. And I can almost go there, and of course it's my wooden knee.
But it's a dream. And I wake up and I feel like, sometimes it's like, wow, where are they, They're supposed to be there. It's like a ghost haunting you. You can feel it, but you can't see it.
Derek, I'm going to touch different parts of your body and face with this Q-tip. I want you to close your eyes. And each time I touch you, tell me where you experience the sensation and what kind of sensation you experience, okay? Close your eyes.
Felt it touching on the phantom thumb.
The phantom thumb. Close your eyes again.
Just the phantom thumb.
Just the thumb, okay.
Just on my forehead.
Just on your forehead.
Just on my nose.
I'm going to move the Q-tip along your jaw. And again, tell me what you experience. Keep your eyes shut.
Felt it through the phantom hand.
Okay.
Run across the knuckles of the palm.
So you felt the sensation running across the knuckles of the phantom palm, okay? Now, what has happened in this patient is he has lost the arm. Therefore, if you go to the map, there is no information arriving in the region of the map corresponding to the hand, because there is no sensory input from the hand. Therefore, the neural signals going from the face to the face region of the map, which happens to be right next to the hand region, invade the territory that originally received signals from the hand. Therefore, when I touch the patient's face, the messages go to not only to the face area, as they should, but they're also invading the territory corresponding to the hand. And these messages are then relayed to higher centers in the brain, and the higher centers interpret these signals as arising from the face and from the missing hand. And this is what gives rise to this curious illusion that we call a phantom limb.
It's as if the nerves reaching the sensory cortex from existing parts of the body were spreading into the dead zone, a dramatic demonstration that pathways in the brain can be changed after infancy.
So now what I'm going to do is to dip the Q-tip in some hot water and put the hot water on different parts of your body and different parts of your face. And don't be startled, it's not hot, it's just warm, okay? But tell me what you experience.
Okay.
Close your eyes. Do you feel?
Felt the sensation in my phantom thumb.
What sensations did you feel?
Gradual warming.
The warming, okay. Close your eyes.
That switched over to my pinky.
And what did you feel in your pinky?
Just gradual warming again.
The warming again.
I felt the sensation of the touch, but the warming.
The
built
warming,
up.
okay.
Just on the nose. Just on my forehead.
So you feel the warmth in the nose, but not in the phantom?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what you've just seen is quite remarkable. When I moved the Q-tip along his jaw, he felt the Q-tip moving along his palm of his phantom missing limb. And when I put hot water, he felt warmth in his missing thumb, in his phantom thumb. Now, what this suggests is not only is there remapping going on in the brain, but the remapping must be organized and precise because the temperature, the warmth pathways must find their right target, find their way to the warmth centers in the brain. And similarly, when I moved the Q-tip, he experienced movement. This again means that the remapping is very precisely organized. And this is important because it's the first clear demonstration that in an adult human brain, you can get the emergence of new organized pathways, which didn't exist before.
Once again, welcome to another meeting of Stumps Are Us.
This group of amputees in San Francisco meets regularly.
Has done any real research on mapping the brain as far as phantom pain is concerned and what to do to alleviate it.
As a result of Ramachandran's work, they know that their symptoms are neither psychosomatic nor a cry of protest from severed nerve endings. But some of their physicians still don't seem to understand.
I just wanted to know, doctor, is that we know what we're going through. How do we educate our doctors? How do we get them to listen and not tell, like B, that we need a psychiatrist? That's been said to me too, but of course everybody knows I do, but.
I think the problem is that when physicians are confronted with something that they don't understand, okay, so you see a set of symptoms which there is no pattern, they don't really understand what the symptoms are. There's a tendency to just assume that it's psychological and say, well, you should go see a psychiatrist. But we now know that that's complete nonsense, that phantom limbs, phantom limb pain has its origin in the brain. There's changes in the neural circuitry in the brain, and that might help explain what's going on. The idea that it's just psychological is just, is nonsense.
And the funny thing with the phantom pain is that when I woke up, the first thing was, my leg is there. Wow, what did they do that they didn't cut it? I saw it totally smashed. And I went and I reached, and of course it wasn't there. So that was my first experience.
It's like when your hand falls asleep or your legs fall asleep, it's intensified that by 10.
Her legs were hurting really bad. She would have us rub her feet, and her feet weren't there, but we rubbed her feet, and that made her feel better. But we would be at the bottom of the hospital bed, and we would just rub where her feet used to be, and she felt better.
Now, this observation has important implications because it suggests that although we experience the sensations as arising from out there in the external world, or in my hand, or in my face, in fact, they have their origin inside the brain, okay? And a dramatic way of demonstrating this is in conscious, awake human patients who are undergoing neurosurgery, where you open the skull flap and you stimulate parts of the sensory map in the brain.
Observing the living brain during surgery was pioneered by Wilder Penfield, a Canadian neurosurgeon who first tried it in the 1930s to treat epilepsy. Once the skull is opened, it is possible to touch the brain without the patient feeling any pain and to talk to the patient about his sensations. Penfield found that his electrical probing could produce, for example, a ticklish nose. Working with patients in this way, he plotted the first sensory maps.
Even though the stimulus is being applied here to the brain, he doesn't say, it's tingling here in my brain. He projects the sensations out there in the external world or onto his hand or to his face.
Touch is our link to the outside world, where a rich tableau awaits us. At this cattle fair in central Italy, there is much prodding, patting, and testing of the animals. Also much testing of one another by these shrewd farmers, for touch can speak volumes, reveal a mood, betray a lie. Only when the buyer and seller reach an agreement do they clasp their hands. Only when the broker seizes both hands and shakes them 3 times is the deal settled. Hand clasps and handshakes have served throughout history to pledge one's good faith, a kind of contract that says, well, let's at least pretend we'll deal honorably with one another. But if touch is a kind of language, are there touch dialects, or do people all over the world touch in similar ways?
In order to study touch, we move to countries where people still live in face-to-face community, people who have grown up together, know each other, and where there exists a situation of basic trust.
Here in the semi-desert of southern Africa, the Himba maintain a way of life centered on small village communities. This village owns a herd of over 100 cattle. It's a cohesive social and economic unit. Every group, every person is a unique product of their sensory experiences. Moving among many cultures and communities, Professor Eibel Eibesfeld hopes to find behaviors common to people everywhere. He is seeking a universal grammar of nonverbal communication, gestures, facial expressions, and touch. He has spent a lifetime traveling to remote groups of people and first visited the Himba in Namibia 25 years ago. Eibel wanted to compile film footage of different peoples. When he found that little existed, he set out to create his own film library. But how do you film something like touch? Eibel's camera features a right-angled mirror hidden in his lens, so his subjects quickly forget that he's filming them.
It's an unobtrusive way of filming. It's not a sneaky way. They know that I film, and they know that I film them. And you get a very friendly impression of the way of life of these people here, and they get close to you somehow. The basic difference between this society of the Himba and our society is that the Himba grow up in a community from early childhood and know each other, and this personal knowledge creates a basic trust. People somehow are related in a friendly way. Here, if you observe people, you will see that they freely touch each other in many situations. They invite each other to come by touching. They comfort a baby which has fallen, or a toddler which has fallen down, and by touching, fathers enjoy their little fry, or how you say in English.
The babies are always in close contact with someone. They're never exiled to cribs or cradles. They're free to hug, to cling. We can only speculate about how different kinds of touching affect us. One thing we do know, it all starts with a loving adult. And that's one of the patterns that Eibel is seeking.
If a mother wants to comfort her little baby, she hugs it, pets it. Now, interestingly enough, amongst adults, you observe in certain situations of distress that a person gets hugged and patted. These are actually behavior patterns which are derived from the mother-child relationship and used to bond amongst adults.
This is a funeral for one of the elders of the Medilpa tribe in Papua New Guinea. At this mourning ceremony, men and women are overcome with grief, and they hug one another. It's a familiar scene. Such touches come from deep wells of grief. Eibel believes that this behavior began as a form of nurturing by mother. Recreating the behavior in an adult triggers childhood memories of comfort and strong family bonds. Sometimes the need to be hugged is so overwhelming that if no one else is around, we hug ourselves. Eibel has found that the Himba culture is changing, and that includes how much touching is considered appropriate. Opua, a trading town, is luring Himba people away from their small pastoral communities. These Himba are on the threshold of a new way of life in a much larger community. They will no longer be on intimate terms with everyone they meet, and many of the touches that once seemed spontaneous will no longer feel right. Eibel's work also throws light on the intriguing origins of the human kiss. In a world without prepared baby food and electric mixers, mothers fed their children chewed food. It's known as kiss feeding.
Kiss feeding occurs in all cultures, so far as we know, and it was originally found in Europe. Mothers at a certain stage of the development of the baby feed their babies, in addition to the milk, with pre-masticated food from mouth to mouth. And this behavior pattern got ritualized in a variety of ways to kissing.
Today, love play frequently involves food, and advertisers can't resist making a meal of it, showing kissing, eating, and the promise of sex all rolled into one. Here, strangely enough, they're advertising ice cream. These photographs invite all of us to be voyeurs into the world of private touches. In public, most people are too shy to do more than hold hands or share a hug. Our primate cousins happily groom one another's hair or skin for hours. In our impersonal society, we've replaced that important bonding ritual with chit-chat, what's called grooming talk, or we offer a friendly pat on the shoulder. In a crowded beach bar, people see the press of bodies as a plus. They come here to be close to others, to enjoy touching and being touched. But how about accidental or unfelt touches? Do even these influence our mood and behavior? One effort to solve that mystery took place in a public library.
How's it going?
Hi, well, I found most of the books I'm looking for, but I'd still like to find that new one by West.
I think I have just what you want.
Oh, great.
Now, right over here. Yes. I think what I found was on page 428. Ah, for real. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
How about that one?
That does look interesting.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you look for them, the world is full of subtle touches that we barely notice with our wide-awake, conscious minds, but they can carry eloquent and powerful messages. People in libraries who are touched in the most insignificant seeming ways report much more satisfaction with the library, the librarian, and life in general. In a related experiment staged in a restaurant, customers who were lightly and unobtrusively touched by waitresses consistently left bigger tips. Even touches so subtle as to be overlooked don't go unnoticed by the subterranean mind.
Just bring the bag in. Ooh, put it on the table, darling.
Touch comforts us. It reminds us of that time when Mother cradled us and we felt safe, adored, and perfectly lovable.
You take those and you put those in the fridge. Okay, and then those are for the fridge as well.
As adults, we still crave those affectionate touches, but partners sometimes lose touch with one another.
You got a few minutes? Yeah?
In our lives, we find ourselves busy, we find ourselves preoccupied. We find ourselves with lots of demands made of us. Demands of looking after family, demands of job, demands of our social activities, but we lose sight of our close relationships. It's very much easier to put those on the back burner than it is all of the other things.
Not much room. Will you see if you can put them all in that drawer for me?
We don't actually spend time communicating through touch. It's lost to us. And what we really do need to do is take time out to begin to restore some of that in our lives.
And put the carrots away for me. Oh, put your hand.
Surely adults know how to touch and to do what comes naturally. That may well be the case for this couple as they relate to their children.
Yes, and a couple. Yeah.
But what about with each other? In Britain, a marriage counseling organization called Relate concentrates on a couple's use of touch, their habits and inhibitions, and their sexual ease with one another.
But you have to take her now anyway. I've got to go.
Okay, come on.
All right.
All right, darling. Okay,
Right.
come
Love
on.
my
Come to
sweetheart.
Mummy. Come on.
You be a good boy.
This is often the barometer of a relationship in which the emotional climate may have changed.
Right, I'll see you later after work.
Yeah.
Bye-bye then.
Chris will make it. Bye. Okay.
In order to be able to help you best, I'm really going to have to know a lot about what's been happening for you sexually, so I'm going to ask you quite a lot of questions.
Counseling can reveal explicit details of a couple's sex life. So with the help of Relate, we have reconstructed a typical case history taken from their files.
I thought it was okay. But now I'm aware it wasn't, and
So there was a certain predictability about what was happening. Would you agree?
I just felt that when he touched me, it was because he wanted sex, and that just sort of, just put me right off.
Right, so every physical contact was a signal for sex, that's what you're saying?
Yeah.
And
there wasn't anything really outside of that.
Right.
We didn't cuddle anymore, or he didn't, kiss me, or, any of that before.
When did you last have sexual contact?
6 weeks ago, 6.5 weeks ago.
No, it was more like 2 months, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And was that a successful encounter, or was that...
No. I was finding I wasn't getting aroused anymore. It was just becoming really routine, and...
It sounds as if it got very
put me
fraught
off.
somehow between you. It was very tense. The whole business of physical contact seems to have got very, very tense. Is that right?
Yeah.
As if you anticipate that it won't go right. So you choose not to have any contact at all.
Mm. It's not like it was, is it?
No, but I mean, I'm not 100% sure what you mean by touch, but sexually it's been good in the past, much better than it is now.
Right. So in the last 4 or 5 months, you've attempted to make love to each other, but it hasn't worked properly. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's really what's brought you through the front door to see me. Right. Okay. What I am first going to require of you is that I'm going to place a ban on sexual intercourse for the moment. That really is the area that's actually continued to be difficult, and we're going to put all of that performance anxiety to one side and get you back into being together in an intimate way which is more comfortable, more relaxed, and get rid of all this tension. We agree that seems to be a sensible way forward. Okay, now over the next week, before you come back and see me next week, what I want you to do is to find 3 separate hours of prime time when you can be together in an intimate way. You're making an investment for the rest of your lives. I think I need to say that to you. And you're going to have to find some quality time when you can be together. And I want 3 separate occasions of an hour during this week.
Right.
Right.
Many people find these sessions awkward. They feel shy and embarrassed. To luxuriate in the other's pleasure, to savor touch as a sweet reward all its own, without thinking about sex, time, or performance, forces them to communicate in new ways. The first stage is non-sexual touching. At times, they might close their eyes so they can focus their minds just on feeling. For now, they must decide who is to give and who is to receive. The caresser taking pleasure in touching. Sensing the partner's enjoyment. The caressed one relishes each delicious touch. For satisfying lovemaking, one needs to feel both relaxed and aroused. Touch can bridge that seeming contradiction. This therapy, known as sensate focusing, heightens all the senses, but it's especially good at teaching couples to be more fluent in the language of touch.
What can happen in an adult relationship is as the relationship develops, the couple actually begin to just be involved in genital touching, and so it becomes very focused and very narrow. It's as if the rest of the body doesn't exist. And for one or other of them, this may actually begin to feel like a real pressure, like it's not how they want to be, and yet they find themselves unable to ask for what they need. Most couples run a telepathic sexual relationship. They don't actually communicate verbally. They hope that somehow the message will get across, and of course it doesn't.
A couple may devote 3 or 4 sessions to touch alone before they move on to the more sexual part of the program. At this stage, the aim is not to arouse, but to achieve greater intimacy and a genuine expression of love.
Being involved in gentle, touching exercises is a very powerful experience. And as a result of that, couples can find themselves returning to lost, unawakened feelings from the past.
Our hands can become messengers of our emotions. And few have understood this as well as the great French sculptor Rodin. Rodin was a dreamer who dreamt with his hands, and he loved sculpting hands. If there is one work of art that expresses Rodin's sense of touch, the intimacy of space, and the fluency of bodies, it is the kiss. Enveloped in each other, glued by touch at the hip, hand, and shoulder, they seal their closeness with their mouths. Touching in only these few places, they seem to be touching in every cell. For some, the sense of touch is the only way to experience fine sculpture. Visiting the Rodin Museum in Paris has been a lifelong ambition for Gioia Stanchi, a lively 73-year-old who has been blind for 13 years.
Of course, at first when touching you feel a bit intrusive, and then it takes you over. You become part of it.
Once Gioia realized that touch was the passport to a world of beauty that had been closed to her, she began visiting galleries again, many of which now treasure her as an expert on touch tours for the blind. But she is convinced that all of us need to refresh our sense of touch.
This is the sensation or the sense that I think we don't put enough importance on. We think it's just for utility, you know, feeling things, for their identifying or whether they're hot, cold or material. And we don't realize that nearly all our information from childhood has come from touch, and not just from the fingers, from all parts of the body. It's a completely different type of vision with the fingers than seeing with the eyes. It's more of an insight, and it's also the one we started off with, we were born with, and we carry and develop once we're aware of it all through our lives, and could be the last sensation, last sense we're left with at the end, our last contact, our last touch.
We feel our way through life from birth to death. Touch is what gives us our grasp on life, the feeling of being alive. Best of all, it allows us to rejoice in one another, and perhaps that is the most touching thought of all.
Mystery of the Senses was produced by WETA Washington and WGBH Boston, which are solely responsible for its content. A production of WETA Washington and WGBH Boston.
This is PBS.